Hi, welcome to my video on Polynomials 2, and this is Practice 1A, that review. Number 1, simplify in descending order. We're adding a trinomial, 3 terms, to a trinomial. So when we're adding, we will group the terms through addition. So we have 4x squared plus 3x squared minus 6x plus 9x plus 7 minus 11. So that's in descending order. And we add like terms. So the x squared's 4 plus 3 is 7, x squared. Negative 9 plus 9, negative 6 plus 9 is positive 3x. And 7 subtract 11 is a negative 4. Number 2, state the opposite of negative 6x squared plus 2x cubed minus 7 plus x in descending order. First of all, let's do the descending order. So the descending order is the powers of, this is 3, 2, 1, and that's x to the 0. So we have 2x cubed minus 6x squared plus x minus 7. So that's the descending order. Now I have to do the opposite of that. So the opposite means to change the signs of each of the terms. So that's a plus, we make it a minus or a negative. That's a subtract, so we make it a positive. That's an addition, so we make it a subtract. And that's a subtract 7, so the opposite is add 7. So opposites is when you add an expression and as opposite together, you get 0. Simplify in descending order. Well, first of all, we're subtracting. So what we have is 10x cubed minus 4x plus 2. When we're subtracting, if we want, when we subtract, we can add on the opposites. So we can add on the opposite of a negative. X squared is a positive x squared. Opposite of a subtract 9 is a plus 9x. Opposite of a positive, adding on x cubed is a negative x cubed, or subtract x cubed. And the opposite of subtract 7 is add 7. Another way to do that would be to change this subtracting, add on the opposite. So this is understood to be a 1. So instead of a negative, we would add on a negative 1. So now we take the negative 1 and multiply by these 4 terms. You get a positive, positive, negative, positive. Now that we have the subtraction, and again, when you're subtracting, you add on the opposite. So you change all the signs of the term, of the expression, the inside. And we want to simplify in descending order. So we have a 3's, 2's, let's see, we have x cubed, so we have 10x cubed minus x cubed, and we have a x squared. Now what I'm doing, I'm just crossing them out to make sure I have them all accounted for, and I have a minus 4x plus 9x, and I should only have constant terms left of 2 and 7. So now we add 10 subtract 1 is 9 x cubed, and we have no more x squared, so it's just x squared. We have x's, so negative 4 plus 9 is a positive 5x, and 2 plus 7 is 9. Again, we're adding on the opposite and then doing descending order. Simplify each in descending order. So we're doing multiplication. When you multiply, you like terms, or you don't have to be like terms, you add the exponents. So it's 4x squared times 2x squared. 4 times 2 is 8. And we have x squared times x squared. We add the exponents to get a 4. Then we go 4x squared times negative 3x. We get 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And x squared times x is x to the 3. That's a 1 understood. So we multiply x squared by x, we add the exponents to get x cubed. And now we go 4x squared times 5 is a positive 20x squared. And it's automatically in descending order. We got a 4, 3, a 2, we don't have to change anything. B, what we have is a multiplication and a subtraction. So in PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, PEMDAS, we do inside the brackets first, but we can't add these because they're no like terms, and we can't subtract them. We can't do anything here in this expression because they're not like terms. So that's done. We have no exponents raised to any of the expressions, but we have to multiply and divide from left to right. So I'm going to multiply first. So this gives us negative 12x squared plus 8. So we multiply negative 4 by those two terms. So that's that. And I'm going to leave. I'm going to obey. So I multiplied first according to PEMDAS. I multiply and divide from left to right. Multiplication is gone. Now I'm going to add or subtract. So I'm subtracting. So that means I'm going to add on the opposite. So that's a negative 12x squared plus 8. When you're subtracting, you add on the opposite. So that becomes negative 5x squared. Subtract x plus 1. Again, when you're subtracting, you can add on the opposite and put a 1 there. So negative 1 times those three terms will give you this. Now we want descending order, so x squared, then an x, and then a constant. So negative 12x squared minus 5x squared minus x plus 8 plus 1. And we add the like terms, x squared added together, so negative 12, negative 5, negative 17x squared. And we have x by itself, and 8 plus 1 is 9. Again, just a general review of polynomials too. Let's continue. Find each. So we have the product of two binomials. So what I'm going to do is use the FOIL method, F-O-I-L. As first is x times x, which is x squared. And then outside is x times negative 5, which is negative 5x. And then we multiply the inside, 3x times x is positive 3x. And last is 3 times negative 5, which is negative 15. So we multiply by FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. And we add up like terms. So we get x squared, negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2x minus 15. And we have another multiplication, but we have all sorts of A's, B's, and C's, so we won't worry about descending order, we just multiply. So again, we're going to multiply by FOIL, F-O-I-L. First, a squared times ab is a cubed b. A squared times negative b squared c is a negative a squared b squared c. And then we're going to multiply the inside. BC times AB is a positive AB squared C. And last is a negative. And we have no A, so we'll go with B. So it's B as a 1 and a 2 makes 3. And C times C is 1 and 1, so that's C squared. And we won't worry about descending order, because we got double variables or triple variables, so that's the simplification. Number 6, find the area of the rectangle in descending order if the sides are 3x minus 6 and 2x plus 4. So the area of a rectangle is length times width, and if you take the 3x minus 6 to be the length and 2x plus 4 to be the width, so if this was a 10, they would be the same. So really, I'm not worried if they're which one is the length and the width. We'll just write them down as the expressions, and then we'll do the FOIL. So first is 6x squared Outside, 3x times 4 is 12x. Inside, negative 12x. Negative 6 times 2x, and negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. And descending order, we have x squared first, and we add here, that gives us 0, minus 24. So that's the area of the rectangle in descending order. Find the square of 4x minus 3 in descending order. So that square is 4x minus 3 being squared. One way we could do this would be write it down as 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3 and use the FOIL. First, 4x times 4x is 16x squared. 4x times negative 3 is negative 12x. Inside, negative 3 times 4x is negative 12x. And last is negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. And we add any like terms, so descending order is 16x squared first, negative 24x, these are like terms, negative 12, negative 12, negative 24x, plus 9. That's one way. And another way is that it would be following this, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. There's a pattern here. So if you take the first term, if you take the a to be the 4x, and you take the b to be the negative 3, a fast way to square this would be to take the first term and square it, which is 4x. 4x squared is 16x squared, and is 2 times a times b plus, oh, I could have wrote the 4x b being squared. I could have done this, but I did this one out. So this is really 4x being squared. So right here, I could have wrote down 4x being squared. So that's done. And this is 8, 24, negative 24x. And negative 3 squared is 9. So that's, you can do it like this, where you expand it and do a FOIL. Or you can use this pattern. It's your choice. I learned this pattern, how to square a binomial very quickly. Page 4, 5. Number 8, simplify. We have, again, a product of two binomials, so we're going to use FOIL. First, 25x squared. Outside, 5x times 2, 10x. Inside, negative 10x. Last, negative 4. So that's 25x squared, and plus 10 minus 10 cancels out, minus 4. Just to mention that, and we'll have it down here as a topic too, that when you multiply notice that these have the same terms, 5x, 2 and 2, separated by plus and minus. When you do FOIL, the middle terms are going to cancel out. So what we end up with is what we call the difference. That's the difference of two squares. So this is a square. So this is really 5x being squared. And this is 2 being squared. Again, there's two binomials here. And with a plus minus, same terms, we end up with the difference of two squares. Number 9, which trinomial is a perfect square? So a perfect square has the pattern of a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So a perfect square trinomial has to be 3 terms. So 3 terms, 3 terms, 3 terms. But to be a perfect square trinomial, you have to have a square on each of these. So that's x squared. That's a 3 squared, and that's an x squared. This one is an x squared, and this one is 5 squared. This is an x squared, and this is 4 squared. So the first and last terms have to be perfect squares. So x squared 9, 25, x squared 16 are perfect squares. And the last sign right here has to be a plus. So this is a minus. So this is, because that's a minus, this is not a perfect square because it has to be a positive at the end. Because when you multiply, like when you multiply these two numbers here, you get, because they're negative and positive, you get a negative on the end. But if this was -2, -2, you get a +4. If it was +2, you get a +4. So this is okay. You get a plus and a plus. So everything is okay so far. So the first and last terms are perfect squares, like here, plus sign. But the middle term, so this is, the square root of this is x. The square root of 25 is 5, and we double it. So when we double it, we get a 10x. So this is no. So this is not no. And this one, the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 16 is a 4, and we double it. Let's see what we get. 8x. Perfect. This is okay. So this is C is the perfect square trinomial. Again, the first and the last terms of the trinomial are perfect squares. Has to be a plus on the end. And the middle term is made up of actually the square root of each of these terms. You take the square root of the first term, square root of the last term, which is what I did right here, x and 4, and double it. And if it gives you the middle term, it's a perfect square trinomial. Which binomial is the difference of two squares? Again, difference is a minus sign. No, this is not the difference of two squares because that's a sum of two squares. That's the sum of two squares. This is the difference. So we got three possibilities. And the difference of two squares is that this term has to be a 2x squared. This is not, no. This one is not, but this term here is x is being squared and 3 is being squared. These are x squared, 3 squared. These are perfect squares, but this is a plus. So this is the sum of two squares. And right here we have this square root of here this is a 5x being squared. This is a 2y being squared. So this one is the square root of 25x squared is 5x. Square root of 4y squared is 2y. So this is the difference of two squares. C. This is the difference. Here we got a b, but this is not. So yes, this is okay. This is the difference, subtraction, but this is 36. But in order to get the difference of two squares, the y would have to be y squared, y4, y6. The power of y would have to be even with 36. Okay, let's continue. And we have one more to do. Simplify in descending order. Now again, when you do this, P, E, M, D, A, S. We have to obey the order of operations. So we cannot simplify inside of here, no like terms. Cannot simplify, no like terms. Nowhere on the inside can you simplify. So we have no exponents, so we have to do multiplication and division. So we have to multiply first. So let's multiply this one, and we'll leave the subtract till after. So notice we got a multiplication and a multiplication. So we multiply these two before we subtract. And we multiply here, we use FOIL. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times -5 is -15x. 2 times 2x is plus 4x. 2 times -5 is -10. Done. And we multiply these two. And we get, again, FOIL. First, x times x is x squared. Outside, x times -1, -1x, -3 times x, -3x. -3 times -1 is plus 3. Now that we have the multiplication done, we have to simplify the inside first. As I always, if I can simplify these before I subtract, it makes it easier. So I get descending order, and -11x minus 10. And I got an x squared. -1, -3 is -4x plus 3. So now I have the multiplication done. I got do the inside of the brackets first before I subtract. It makes it easier if you simplify inside of here because you have less terms to deal with. Now I'm going to add on the opposite. So add on the opposite. Again, 6x squared minus 11x minus 10. You're subtracting, so this plus becomes a minus. This minus becomes a plus. And the plus 3 becomes a minus 3. Again, that's a subtraction. So when you're subtracting, there's a 1 understood to be in front of this. So to subtract 1 is the same as adding on -1, just another way to do it. When you subtract, every term on the inside the bracket changes the signs. So now we have descending order. We got squares first, x's next, and constants next. So the x squared's done. The x's, yep, I picked them all up just to make sure. 6 subtract 1, that's a -1 there, that's a 5. X squared. -11 plus 4 is a -7x. And -10 subtract 3 is -13. Again, just a review of the multiplying polynomials. This brings us in to the end of the first video on polynomials. Just another one following this. And like all of them, if you like my video, click the like button. Click the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Just one word. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video helped you. Bye-bye.